We Are the Music Makers by Arthur O'Shaughnessy is an ode to the ones who dream and create. It is a tribute, it is an anthem for the artists, poets, writers, musicians, and artists of every other realm of art who shape the world through their art and their contribution towards art. Primarily, what does an ode mean? An ode is a lyric poem, typically one in the form of an address to a particular subject. Here the subject is the contribution and recognition of artists in the society, in the world as a large. These kind of poem are classical poem, originally meant to be sung, and We Are the Music Makers is in a form of song as well. you know the poem celebrates those who refuse, the artists, those who refuse to play by the book, that is a protocol of the society, protocol of the world, and create a world of their own, who despite being misunderstood by people play a great role in shaping the age they live in, and bestow their work, that is give their work for the posterity to keep. Means the work is immortal, which can be referred to by the future generations to come. Okay, this ode was published, primarily the poem, The Music Makers, was called the Ode. Okay, and it was a part of a bigger collection called Music and Moonlight. Okay, so it was published in 1873 74. I guess it was written in 73 and was published in 1874, and it featured in the collection of poems titled Music and Moonlight. Primarily it had 9 full stanzas, but the first 3 stanzas are very popular, and in our syllabus will include these 3 stanzas. Okay, it's more popular, the first 3 stanza is more popular than the whole ode, right? Far from being just a celebratory ode to the music makers, the poem also explores the agency of art in the lived experience of people, and how art affects the various aspects of society, ranging from politics to religion. It speaks of optimism. The poem celebrates art, lauds the creative spirit, and asserts that the dreamers of dream have an active role, that is, the artists have an active role to shape the age they live in. It doesn't limit itself to a particular form of art. It includes all creative and artistic endeavors pursued by human. Arthur William Edgar O'Shaughnessy was a British poet and a herpetologist. You know what is herpetologist means? One who specializes in study of amphibians and reptiles. He was of Irish descent. He was born in London, hence most remembered for this, the ode, and we are the music makers and we are dreamers of dream. These lines have been adapted in several songs, in composing several musicals. It's become so popular, you know. However, Chauncey's true passion was for literature. He published his first collection of poetry, was Epic of Women, in 1870, and then Music and Moonlight in 1873-74. And this, the ode that we are going to read today, is from his collection Music and Moonlight. Shaughnessy in this poem talks about the artists as a whole. He doesn't confine only to musicians or painters, but as a whole. This poem is an anthem for all the artists of the world. It is a view, it is a preview, this is a call from artists all over the world, who people takes as world losers and world forsakers, but they are actually the movers and shakers of the world. What does that mean? People call them losers, people that call them forgotten, people call them lagging, people call them as useless, but they are the one who has the ability to move and shake the world with their art. The term movers and shakers, which became very popular later, was actually originated by Arthur William O'Shaughnessy. The poet has used the biblical allusion of Nineveh and Babel in the poem. Let's now understand what these two cities signify. In the third stanza, actually, the poet tries to equate art with divinity, and that is why he alludes, this is a biblical allusion, takes the biblical allusion of cities, biblical cities. These cities are mentioned in the Bible of Nineveh and Babel. The ancient city of Nineveh was built by the artists, which was later abandoned and destroyed and was never built again. And the people of Babel were dedicated to building a tower so high that it reaches heaven. It is believed that Nineveh was created by artists out of distress, whereas Babel was created out of joy. Nineveh and Babel are symbolic of an artist's ability to destroy and create. Artists are capable of deconstructing the old world into a new world by their art prophecy. The dreams of the artist allowed them to achieve immortality in the world. Okay, Nineveh was built and then it was remarked as a city of sin, and then it was destroyed as well. Babel, on the other hand, was built so that they could reach closer to heaven, and then it was destroyed as well. Remember, these cities actually existed or not, the authenticity is not proved, but these cities were actually constructed in the words of poet, in the words of artists, and that created a sense of divinity that could reach God. And then they were the only ones who again deconstructed it, broke it, destroyed the city. So they have the capability, the artists have the capability of constructing and deconstructing at the same time. Keep in mind the allusion while we proceed with stanzas. You can actually relate to it about what we are talking about here.